everything changes in a split second. In the new sneak peek for Heartland Season 19, Episode 8, Lisa faces someone she never expected to see, against someone who brings back a wave of memories she fought hard to bury. And while her past returns without warning, Amy and Nathan's future begins to crack. One reunion, one misunderstanding, and suddenly everything at Heartland feels unstable. This episode may be the most emotional one of the season, and it all starts with a moment Lisa never saw coming. Episode 8 opens with a quiet tension that you can feel even before anything is said. The ranch looks calm on the outside, horses grazing, soft wind moving across the fields, but inside, the people who call this place home are carrying heavy thoughts. Lisa, especially, seems distracted. She moves through her morning routine with a certain distance, like her mind is somewhere else entirely. Jack notices it right away, but before he can ask, something unexpected interrupts their morning. A car pulls up near the barn. At first, Lisa doesn't think much of it. Heartland always has visitors. But the moment she sees the door open, her entire expression changes. It's shock, fear, and something deeper. Something painful. The person stepping out is a figure from her past, someone she hasn't seen in years. For a moment she freezes, unable to move or speak. There is a storm behind her eyes. It's the kind that only comes when an old wound suddenly reopens. Jack senses the shift immediately. He tries to read Lisa's face, but she doesn't look at him. Her focus is locked on the person walking toward her slowly, carefully, like they know this moment could break everything. The air feels heavy, as if even the horses can sense the emotion building between them. And this reunion is not warm. There's no smile, no welcome, no relief. Instead, there is tension so thick, it almost hurts to watch. This is someone tied to a chapter of Lisa's life she never wanted to revisit. The pain shows in her eyes, and even Jack seems unsure of what to do. This moment sets the emotional tone for the entire episode. It tells us that Lisa's story is about to take a turn, one that will test her strength, her honesty, and possibly her relationship. With Jack, it also hints that Episode 8 will not only focus on the challenges in the present, but will pull characters back into the past they tried to leave behind. If you want me to continue, I will now write Section 2 with the same depth, clarity, and emotional tone. The reunion does not begin with words. Instead, it begins with silence, sharp, heavy, and full of everything Lisa never wanted to face again. The person standing in front of her takes a small breath, as if choosing their first sentence carefully. But Lisa already knows this conversation will hurt, no matter how gently it starts. Her shoulders stiffen, not out of anger, but out of self-protection. She has spent years building a peaceful life at Heartland, and now a single moment threatens to pull her back into a world she thought she had closed forever. The person from her past, someone who once knew her better than most, keeps their distance. They sense the emotional wall she has put up. Their voice is low, almost cautious as they greet her by name. It's not warm, not familiar. It's more like someone trying to reconnect after too long, unsure if they even have the right to try. The sound of her name from their mouth makes her flinch just slightly, but she hides it well. Lisa's eyes shift away, searching for something steady to hold on to, and for a moment, she finds it in the quiet presence of Jack nearby. He stands a few steps behind her, watching with concern, but not pushing himself into the conversation. He knows Lisa well enough to understand that this moment belongs to her, not him. But even from where he stands, he can feel the history between Lisa and this person. It's thick, complicated, and full of unresolved pieces. The visitor takes a careful step forward and begins to explain why they came. Their words are simple, but the meaning behind them is heavy. They talk about mistakes, unfinished apologies, and the kind of regrets that don't fade with time. Lisa listens without interrupting, but every sentence seems to hit a place she has kept locked away. There is a flicker of old pain in her expression. The kind that tells us this story runs deeper than anyone at Heartland ever knew. But this reunion is not just about pains. It's about truth trying to surface after years of silence. The visitor isn't here to hurt her. They are here because they can no longer carry their side of the past alone. And Lisa, though caught off guard, understands that this moment was bound to come eventually. As the conversation continues, Jack steps closer not to interfere, but to remind Lisa she's not standing alone anymore. And even though she doesn't speak yet, the small breath she takes tells us she's ready to respond. Ready, perhaps, to face what she tried so hard to forget. If you'd like, I can now continue with Section 3, focusing on how this reunion begins to affect Jack the ranch, and the emotional ripple that moves toward Amy and Nathan's story. Lisa's reunion doesn't stay quiet for long. At Heartland, emotions travel faster than the wind, and even those who don't know the full story can feel that something has shifted. After the visitor walks away, the ranch seems to hold its breath. The horses grow restless, Jack grows thoughtful, and Lisa. She retreats into herself in a way that feels unfamiliar. She has always been strong, elegant, steady, but this encounter knocks the balance out from under her, and everyone around her senses it without needing an explanation. Jack tries to reach her gently. He speaks softly, asking if she's all right. But Lisa only offers a small, practiced smile, the kind she uses when she wants to hide more than she wants to reveal. Jack knows that smile too well. He knows it means she's hurting, and he hates that he can't take that pain from her. Still, he doesn't push. Instead, he follows her toward the barn, watching every step she takes like he's afraid she might fall apart if he looks away. Inside the barn, the atmosphere shifts again. Lisa runs her hand along the stall door, grounding herself in something familiar. Heartland has always been her safe place, but now even the stillness feels heavy, as if the shadows are whispering pieces of her past back to her. Jack leans against a beam, giving her room, but refusing to leave her side. He doesn't need details, too. Understand the weight of what just happened. He can feel it in the way her voice trembles when she finally speaks. She tells him that the visitor wasn't just someone from her past. They were a part of a chapter she has kept locked away for years. A chapter that left scars she never fully allowed to heal. She doesn't explain everything yet, but the pain in her eyes is clear enough. Jack listens, patient and steady. But the more she talks, the more he realizes this isn't something that will resolve quickly. And while Lisa tries to steady herself, the ranch begins to shift in other ways too. Amy walks by, sensing Jack's tension and Lisa's quiet distress. She doesn't interrupt, but she notices. And that noticing becomes the first small string that pulls her storyline toward. This is because Heartland's emotional waves rarely stay in one place. Nathan, seeing Amy distracted later, tries to ask what's wrong, but even she can't fully explain it. Something unsettling has moved through the ranch, and it affects them all differently. For Amy, it's worry. For Nathan, it's confusion. For Jack, it's fear that Lisa might be pulled back into a darkness he thought she had left behind. And for Lisa, it's the beginning of a storm she cannot outrun. If you'd like, I can now continue with Section 4, where Lisa's reunion deepens, secrets begin to surface, and Amy and Nathan's tension quietly grows in the background. By the time the sun begins to dip behind the hills, Lisa realizes that running from this moment will only make things worse. She sits alone on the porch, staring out at the fading light, her hands clasped tightly together. The visitor's words replay in her mind, each one pulling her deeper into memories she has avoided for years. Heartland has always been a place of healing. Tonight it feels like a place where old wounds begin to reopen. Jack steps outside after giving her some space. He doesn't sit beside her right away, he waits, studying her profile. Noticing the way her breath catches every few seconds, as though she's fighting back emotions she doesn't want to show. When he finally sits next to her, he doesn't ask questions. He just offers presence, and it's that quiet support that finally breaks her silence. Lisa begins to speak in a voice that is almost too soft to hear. She talks about mistakes she made long before Heartland became part of her life. Choices she regrets. People she hurt without meaning to. The visitor wasn't just someone from her past, but someone who once relied on her. Someone she failed in a moment that mattered. And now they have come to her, looking for the truth. Or maybe forgiveness. Jack listens without interrupting. The more she explains, the clearer it becomes that this isn't just an emotional reunion, It's a confrontation with a part of herself she hoped had disappeared with time. She admits that part of her fear isn't just about facing this person, but facing the version of herself she used to be, a version she isn't proud of. The night air grows cooler, and with each word she shares, her shoulders slowly lose their tension. But the emotional weight of her confession settles into Jack as well. He reaches for her hand, steady and sure, silently telling her that she doesn't have to face any of this alone. Inside the house, Amy watches them through the window. She sees the closeness, the worry, the quiet pain. It reminds her how fragile relationships can be, how quickly life can shift. And when Nathan walks in, asking if she's ready for dinner, she hesitates. She isn't upset with him, but her mind is somewhere else, somewhere heavy. Nathan senses the distance, but he doesn't know the cause. And that unspoken gap becomes the first crack in their evening together. Back outside, Lisa takes a deep breath, preparing herself for the next step. The visitor is still waiting for her decision, whether she will speak to them again. Whether she will open the door that leads back into a past she closed long ago. Jack assures her that whatever she chooses, he will stand with her. But deep down, Lisa knows this is something she must face herself. Night settles over Heartland, and with it comes the understanding that tomorrow will demand answers. And those answers could change more than just Lisa's life. They could shift the entire emotional foundation of the ranch, if you want. I can now continue with Section 5, where Amy and Nathan's conflict grows, echoing the emotional tension rippling through Heartland, while Lisa prepares to face a chapter of her past. Another quiet storm is forming inside the Heartland house, this time between Amy and Nathan. Their relationship, which once felt simple and easy, suddenly feels unsteady in a way neither of them expected. It doesn't begin with an argument or a dramatic moment. It starts with silence, subtle and easy to miss unless you're paying attention. Amy tries to shake off the heaviness she felt after seeing Lisa and Jack on the porch. But the emotional weight lingers. She walks through the kitchen with a thoughtful expression, her mind drifting between her own life and the pain she sensed in Lisa's. Nathan notices immediately. He asks if everything is okay, but Amy answers with a quick, "I'm fine." Even though she clearly isn't, her voice is soft, distant, not cold, just tired. Nathan has seen this side of her before, but tonight it feels different. Like she's not just distracted, she's unsettled. They sit down for dinner, but the conversation barely moves. Nathan tries to bring up plans they've been discussing. Something simple and hopeful, maybe a day out, maybe a project they wanted to start together. But Amy doesn't respond the way she normally would. She nods, but it's a distracted nod, the kind that says she heard him but didn't really let the words sink in. Nathan senses the shift and grows quiet, watching her with a mix of confusion and concern. In their silence, the distance between them grows without either one meaning for it to happen. What Nathan doesn't know is that Amy is carrying more pressure than she lets on. The ranch needs her. Her daughter needs her. The horses need her. And now, seeing Lisa's emotional struggle, she feels reminded of how unpredictable life can be. It makes her question where she stands with herself, their responsibilities, and with Nathan. Nathan misreads her silence as withdrawal, something personal, something directed at him. He wonders if he said something wrong earlier. He wonders if Amy is pulling back because of him, or because she's starting to feel the weight of their relationship on top of everything else she manages. As the evening goes on, the divide becomes clearer. Amy sits at the table staring at her glass, replaying the tension she saw in Lisa's eyes. Nathan sits across from her, replaying the tension he sees in hers. Both are lost in separate thoughts, yet sitting just a few feet apart. What makes this moment powerful is not loud conflict. It's the quiet fear that grows when two people feel something shifting but don't know how to stop it. Amy isn't angry. Nathan isn't hurt. But they're both confused. And confusion in relationships is sometimes the first warning sign. By the end of the night, Amy excuses herself to check on one of the horses, something she often does when she needs time to think. Nathan watches her leave, unsure if he should follow or give her space. He chooses space, but that choice gentle as it is, comes another small crack forming between them. Neither one says the word breakup, but the possibility hides in the silence they leave behind. If you want, I can now continue with section 6, where the emotional themes of the episode blend together, showing how both Lisa's and Amy's stories are reflections of love, fear, and the past returning at the wrong time. As night settles over Heartland, the ranch becomes quiet but not peaceful. There is a kind of stillness that comes right before something breaks open, a calm surface, hiding all the movement underneath. And the more the episode unfolds, the clearer it becomes that the real theme of episode 8 isn't just reunion or regret. It's the weight of unspoken truths and the courage it takes to face them. Lisa sits alone in the living room now, soft lamp casting a warm glow around her, but the warmth doesn't reach her eyes. She's wrapped in thought, replaying every moment of her past she tried to lock away. Her heart is conflicted. One part wants to close the door again and pretend the visitor never showed up, while another part knows that ignoring the past only gives it more power. That is the core of her struggle, choosing between comfort and truth. And truth, as painful as it is, stands right outside waiting for her. Jack watches her from the doorway, torn between stepping in or giving her the space she keeps choosing. He knows love isn't only about standing beside someone during the good times. Sometimes it's about stepping back, even when your heart wants to do the opposite. That's the quiet message of this episode. Love requires strength in moments where you feel least prepared. Meanwhile, Amy stands outside the barn, her breath visible in the cool night air. The way the horses shift and move seems to mirror her own restlessness. She strokes Spartan's neck, looking for comfort in the one place that's always made sense. It's here, in this quiet, that she finally admits something to herself. She's scared. Not of losing Nathan exactly, but of losing the balance she's worked so hard to keep in her life. Her responsibilities are growing. Her heart is stretched in different directions. And the emotional shock of Lisa's reunion has reminded her how fast everything can fall apart. This episode draws a line between the stories of these three characters. Lisa fears facing her past. Jack fears losing the closeness they built. Amy fears not being enough for her daughter, for the ranch, for Nathan. And Nathan fears dropping into a place where Amy can't reach him. The themes overlap like pieces of a puzzle. Love versus fear. Truth versus silence. The past vs. the present. What makes this episode powerful is that none of these conflicts explode in dramatic shouting matches. Instead, they settle quietly inside each character, growing like small storms no one talks about yet. You can feel the tension tightening with every scene. You can feel the moment approaching where silence won't be enough to hold everything together. And Heartland, as always, becomes the backdrop for these emotions, steady, grounding, and honest. A place where healing is possible, but only if the truth is finally spoken out loud. If you'd like, I can now finish with section 7, bringing predictions, rising tension, and foreshadowing for the emotional payoff. Episode 8 is leading toward, as Episode 8 moves toward its final moments. The tension that has been quietly building begins to tighten into something impossible to ignore. Every storyline, Lisa's painful reunion, Jack's silent worry, Amy's emotional distance, and Nathan's confusion pulls together like threads in a knot that's ready to snap. The episode doesn't need dramatic music or sudden twists. The real power lies in the slow realization that everyone at Heartland standing on the edge of a moment that could change their future. Lisa knows she can't avoid the truth any longer. The visitor waits at the edge of the property, giving her one last chance to decide. Does she reopen the past and finally confront it, or does she shut the door forever and risk carrying regret for the rest of her life? This choice becomes the emotional center of the episode. She stands by the porch, staring into the darkness, and you can almost hear her heartbeat as she prepares to face whatever comes next. Whether it leads to healing or heartbreak, one thing is clear: she won't walk away unchanged. Jack watches from a distance, his expression filled with the kind of concern only a man deeply in love can feel. He wants to protect her, hold her, shield her from everything painful. But he understands that this is a moment she must face on her own. His role is not to fix her past, but to be strong enough to stay when the past tries to break her. That, more than anything, shows how far Jack has come as a partner.